Wednesday afternoon after the night before, England losing their opener against France by 2-1. The girls are out there training here at the England training base in Zurich, and the talkSPORT team is here as well. And let's just find out how we're all feeling after sleeping on that defeat, and what a bad defeat it was. 2-1 flatters England, really. Courtney Sweetman-Kirt, going to start with you because you were behind the goal, closest to the action. Having slept on it and thought about it over breakfast and really given it some thought, what do you think about last night's performance? What are your reflections now? I
think it's still the same as immediately after. I think we were much the better team in the first 20 minutes. We were dominant. I've still looked at the VAR, the offside, semi-automated offside picture, and I still, for the life of me, can't understand why that is offside. That being said, we weren't good enough after that. I think France were brilliant. They figured us out. I think as the game went on and Cascarino knew that she had the beating of Jess Carter, she played on it and she played on it. And that's what good teams do. They find a weakness. De Almeida as well behind her was absolutely excellent. And yeah, you know, they found a weakness. They exploited it time after time. And I think probably slow to react from a substitutions point of view, and also players on the pitch. You have a responsibility as a player on the pitch as well to try and figure it out yourself, and I think very slow to react. Yes, the last sort of 10 minutes was positive. I like that reaction, but by that point it's too little too late.
And Tash, Dowie, it was seemed to me, I don't know about you, but a lack of leadership on the pitch that was lacking. That needs to be put right, and that's one of a number of things that need to be put right before Wednesday. What are your reflections on last night?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's easy to say, but I think that was definitely an area that I think we missed. And I think when you talk about Millie Bright, not just her physicality that I think we missed last night, but her leadership, 100%. I think that if you're a player in that position and things aren't going well, you need someone actually at times to maybe rag a few people, you know, shout at people, let them know, you know, not in a negative way, in a constructive way. But too many times I was looking at the team, especially when we were 2-0 down, hands on hips, silent, no talking. You know, at this level, you have to have your leaders, your Williamsons, Greenwood's captain at City. You know, you look at Stanway, Walsh in the midfield. You know, there's experienced players throughout. Not enough voices for me last night.
Joe Shennan and I had breakfast this morning. It went on and on as we tore apart the England performance last night. It went on so much we were late for training.
We're going to get fined.
Lunch on the boys.
We're going to have to pay for lunch. But what were your conclusions, Joe?
Really disappointed. I mean, I think Courtney was right to bring up the VAR decision, and it's spot on. I mean, I think there's a lot of controversy about that goal, but I'm really glad at the same time that Sarina focused on the performance in her post-match interview, because I don't think the performance was anywhere near up to par. I think it's a performance for England that raises far more questions than it gives answers. And I think now the interesting thing for Sarina is how much and what does she change going into the game against the Dutch on Wednesday. They'll be high on confidence. They've already picked up a big win. We know that the Dutch have got plenty of weapons in their team. So how does Sarina counter that? Is there a change in personnel? Is there a change even in formation? Those are the things that they're going to be thinking about over the next couple of days and that England fans are thinking about.
And I think, Courtney, the thing is with tournaments, things can change very quickly. You can lose your opening game, go on to win the tournament, and we were talking before the game about how finishing second in the group might actually benefit England in a strange kind of way, but there seemed to be so much wrong last night and so much to put right. I worry that there's not the time for Sarina to put it right.
Yeah, and I suppose historically as well, when you look at how she operates, she doesn't tend to change a lot. So that's probably worrying, because I think you've got players in there that have obviously battled back to get fit to win their place at the Euros. But actually, I think you can see within the squad there's certain players that didn't look fully fit, in my opinion, didn't have the legs. That was a lethargy in some of the performance. So we've still got the players, though, some of the players out there. Now, I think, for me, thinking as a former forward, if I'm Aggie Beever-Jones, I want to be kicking down the door today. I want to be saying to Sarina, look, I need to be in that squad. I think I deserve to play. I think I can add something to that forward line. And obviously you've got to be careful. And you're right, in tournament football, this could all be forgotten if we go and beat Netherlands 4-0 with a fantastic performance. But you're right, I think there's a lot to change before then in the Netherlands in terms of what their strengths are as well. Pace in wide areas, very similar to France. So, there's a lot to remedy, and we've not got a lot of time to do it.
Indeed. Is it still a case, Tash, of in Sarina we trust?
Yeah, absolutely. Until maybe it doesn't go the way. We're not out of the tournament. I think I'd be brave. I'd be braver. I would have a change of formation. I would maybe go 4-4-2. I actually think, I hear Courtney's points, but I actually think maybe the Netherlands actually pace-wise as not much of a threat. I think when you look at Amidamar, Pavlovas, they're actually similar to England. They like to possess the ball. They like to play through the third. So actually, I think you can afford to lose a player in midfield and actually be a bit more attack-minded and go with a Beaver Jones and Russo up front. Bring in a Clinton in midfield that can actually really get stuck in, because I thought Stanway looked miles off of it. Be a bit braver. That's what I would love to see.
I'm with the idea for a front two. I thought Alessia worked so hard in that first game, but was isolated. She was tireless, she was holding the ball up, she was looking for options. There wasn't a lot in the way of options for her. And I think you look at the Dutch team, where is their weakness? It's probably the central defensive pair. That's where England can get at them. So for me, Alessia Russo needs a strike partner on Wednesday night, whether that's Beaver Jones, Michelle Adjemang from the start. That would be a big call, but she came on, she gave the intensity that England needed, and I think that's what we need on Wednesday night. We need a greater intensity, we need some energy, we need some zest about the performance, and I think a front two might help give us that.
Well, Adjemang's been starting games for Brighton. She had a great season on loan at Brighton from Arsenal, so I don't think she'd be phased. She didn't like she'd be phased by anything. So, but I think, Tash, in terms of positives, and there were some positives. So Lauren James played well. Russo, Joe has just mentioned as well. And actually, in my player ratings for talkSPORT, best player was Michelle Adjemang for about 9 or 10 minutes. But I don't think anybody can argue with that, really.
No, absolutely not. I loved it. I loved what I saw. I said 5 minutes. What can she do in 5 minutes? I was frustrated. That's all she got. But in 5 minutes, what an impact she had. And did she actually do a lot on the ball? Technically, no. But just her presence worried that French back line. Balls getting lumped into the box. It's not pretty football, but it's effective. And I think that she put herself about. And do you know what I loved as well? She had this desire. She was getting mad. This is a 19-year-old kid that's come on, for a major tournament debut, and she's actually telling people, what they should be doing, and that shouldn't be the case. So people actually need to look at her and the impact that she had, and then put that right. Come obviously Wednesday against the Dutch.
Yeah, I think she'd been on second. She had a standoff with the ref, which I thought was maybe not too healthy, but actually it's what we wanted to see. And in terms of substitutions, Courtney, substitutions from Serena won us the Euros 3 years ago. But this time around, she looked a little bit lost with her substitutions, leaving them very late.
Yeah, as a player, I think from my perspective, you don't want 5 minutes on the pitch. Yes, Michelle Adjemang came on and did really well, but you want more time to be able to impact the game. I'm looking at that 2-0. I'm thinking, the triple substitution we made, can we make that earlier? Can we make it at half time? I know it's a big call, but I think something drastic needed to happen, and you're right. And I think it just left that little bit too much to do. And you see, when we did make some changes, it did make a difference. We looked more attacking go forward. And the same with the formation change. I think we looked better with the three at the back when we went to the wing back. So, again, just a little bit too late, unfortunately, from my perspective. And another one I'd like to see, talking about the aggression, Grace Clinton. I think we need a bit of bite in midfield, a bit of aggression. Yes, we know it can boil over. She can get herself cautious. But I don't mind that. I don't mind taking that risk, because I think that's the bite that we need.
Wednesday night here in Zurich, and talkSPORT will be at the game. It's the earlier of the two games. The Wales game is live on talkSPORT too. But England ideally need a win. They won't necessarily be out with a draw, but they need to win. Lose, and they are coming home. It's unthinkable for these players, the European champions, to be heading home out of the tournament after 2 games.